And Facebook has got the circle going around and the circle and the circle. So
I think we're live.
Big fan from Brazil, Carol Bonato. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. All right, we're live. We're live on Facebook. We're live on Instagram. Technology is great. Thank you, honey. The Instagram works. Right. Hi, everyone. Welcome. It's Tuesday. It's 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern, 1 a.m. in Italy, 8:30 a.m. on the west coast of Australia, I think, and 9:30 a.m. Wednesday morning on the east coast of Australia. Someone please confirm that for me as we go forward. And it's Facebook Live. And today I've got the most important guest in my world.
Aww.
So, hello. And this Marzi's idea, another big fan from Brazil. Thank you so much. Marzi's idea, it was to, let's talk about what it's like being in quarantine. And I thought, oh my goodness, that is quite the topic. I mean, how many of you have been with your spouse for 5 weeks, 24/7, ever in your life? I would submit that most of us, not really. Not when we're dating because we go home to our own places, not when we're married because you go to work, or on vacation. Sometimes on vacation, do you go to a coffee shop for an hour or two, or do you have some, I just need a break, and take a walk? Some more than others, but for all of us now, we are in a state where we have no choice. More than less, we have no choice. Gabriella's joined. Hello, Gabriella. And oh, by the way, for you folks who are on Facebook, please share this on your Facebook site. How do you do that? Is it linking it, or?
You just share. You do a watch party. Yeah.
Oh, a watch party. A watch party on Instagram. Can they do that also?
I think so.
Okay.
We're kind of new to Instagram, guys. So yeah.
Yeah, we're more new to Instagram. So if there's a way of sharing this live with your friends, please do so, because I think hopefully there will be a pearl or two that will make a difference. And I don't know whether to look at this camera, which is Facebook, or this camera, which is Instagram. So I'm going to look at both and back and forth. Okay. So I think it's a really great topic because there are things that most people don't talk about very often and are under the surface, right? And in the men's work that I've done, we call it shadow work. It's our shadow. It's always there with us, but it's not in our face usually because it's behind us. It's our shadow. And we all have those aspects of our personality that sometimes may not be the most proud aspect of our personality. And so we keep them in the shadows, we keep it buried. And if you guys get a sense of what I'm talking about, do thumbs up, or, make some comments so I know that I'm heading in the right direction with this. And many times, those shadows, not many times, I think it's always, it's those shadows that get in the way of intimacy. It's those shadows that get in the way of successful relationships. Why in the U.S. is it that 50% or somewhere around 50%, my numbers are a couple of years old, but 50% of marriages don't last? Why is it that often? My friend who's part of my men's group, they're about to celebrate 58 years together. 58 years, and he met his wife when she was 13 and he was 16, right? And he was always into younger women, I guess. I don't know, but
that's cool.
Right. Good point. But it's the shadow that we don't talk about that gets in the way of one's connection, one's intimacy with another. And many people don't want to hear about that and say, yeah, right, whatever. And, if that's the case, you might not hang around today. Come back next week. It'll be a topic more interesting for you, but we're actually, our purpose here today is to help you while you're at home, to give you some ideas when you're in isolation or in quarantine of what you can do to expand your options, to expand your experience of this time. Do you want to talk about just the opportunities that we've been talking about during this time? Yeah.
So my approach, because I have the comfort of it, my approach is to basically take it as an opportunity, take this time as a time for self-love, to do what we always plan to do, which is harder for people with the children, because it's less time really than more time. But for those who have the comfort of just being as a couple,
Yeah.
it's a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity to look at your life, at your relationship, at the exercise you haven't done. That's what we're doing. Do the meditation whenever you can. Remember, just work on a relationship or see movies you haven't seen. Obviously, you guys, I'm sure you've got some covered.
Marzi said she wanted to watch movies that were fun, happy ending, and based on a true story. So I sent a message to my adult children and said, hey guys, what are some movies that are fun, happy ending, and based on a true story? And they sent us 4 or 5 of them. And we've watched a couple of them, and they're great. You know, it's fun to do that. That's been it's been fun to do something new together like that.
Someone is asking, what's this delicious beverage that we're drinking? This is water with ice and 1 squeezed orange.
I took an orange, I sliced it in half, I squeezed half of the juice in Marzi's, half of the juice in mine, put some shivered ice in there. You know, the refrigerator's got the option for shaved ice or something, and then put some big ice cubes in there also. So it's just lightly flavored. And I was thinking about it when I was doing it, that someone would ask, I hope someone would ask, why are we doing that? Because the polyphenols in the skin of the orange and in the white part of the orange, the narinogens that are there, they help to prevent the virus, any virus, from grabbing onto the docking station of your cell. It's called the receptor site. It's called the ACE2 receptor. And polyphenols, and the darker the color of the vegetable or the darker the color of the fruit, the more polyphenols it has. Those polyphenols inhibit the virus from grabbing onto that docking station and getting inside the cell. The virus can't multiply unless it gets inside the cell. And if it's stuck outside the cell, then the immune system's going to recognize it and you're going to make antibodies to it. And that's why some of the blood tests they're talking about now that are just coming out are checking to see do you have immunity to COVID, which means you're making antibodies to it. And likely it won't affect you when it comes back around. There's lots of talk it's going to come back around. For some of you, you may know that Marzi and I did Coffees with Dr. Tom last week. We did 8 days in a row. And we've decided we're going to do it again. And we're going to do it once a week right now, starting Thursday? Okay, I think Thursday. Today's Tuesday, so I think Thursday. And we'll send an announcement out. So please like us. Like us. They like me. That's not what I meant. But
that's another thing, actually, because what we're finding out now, being together for so long, with no travels and with no breaks, the love is obvious in a relationship. But do you like the person?
Do you like each other?
Right?
Yeah.
So for us, it's a high value compliment if we say to each other, "I like you."
I like you. Yeah. and mean it. I can say, "Oh, I love you, honey. I love you. I love you." And all of that. But do you like your partner? And having those discussions of what are some of the things that I do that annoy you? And it's okay to tell me.
Or you just find out, even if you don't want to.
Yeah. Well, it depends. In some relationships, they might not talk about that kind of thing. But if you say to your partner, what are some of the things I do that annoy you? I'd like to know and see if I can, work on those, because we're stuck together now all the time. And then don't ask your partner, don't volunteer what annoys you about them. Let them ask you. If they don't ask you, just be happy to take in the answer to the question of what are some of the things I do that annoy you? I'm lucky in my relationship. My wife is Polish. She has no hesitancy in letting me know the things that I do to annoy her. I'm just joking, but I'm very grateful for this relationship.
Well, we both probably are. We have similar tempers, and we cannot keep stuff to ourselves for a long time or for any time, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
really, I'm just and communication is something that we've been working on since the beginning of the relationship, which took us 2 years.
It does.
Of a hard work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work to open up heartfelt communication when you don't want to, when it's much easier to cover your ass, you know, and not expose yourself. There's a great message that just came in. I want to acknowledge it from Angela. She said, "Thank you, Dr. Tom, for all you do. Because of you and me being a CGP, that's a certified gluten-free practitioner, I also became a contracted phlebotomist. She draws blood with Vibrant, and that's the lab that we talk about so much, and have done 30 antibody tests in 2 days. So far, 28.5% have IgM antibodies, and she's referring to COVID. And 28.5, that means more than 1/4 of everybody has IgM antibodies. And there's some interpretation to the test. But if you have antibodies, that's a good thing. It's really a good thing that you've got antibodies. IgM antibodies are the first antibodies that are produced when you're exposed to something. And they're short term. They're about 4 weeks, maybe 6 weeks. So what that means is that 28.5% of these people that have their blood drawn have been exposed in the last few weeks, and their body is building immunity. Angela, it'd be great to know how many also have IgG or IgA. And if you could send me a message through the CGP portal, that'd be great. I'd really like to know. Lynn Trock is here from Arizona. Lynn's in Arizona. Hi, Lynn. Thank you so much for being here. Angela says, Eastern European, they're married to a Bulgarian whose mother is Polish. Okay, okay. That's a firehouse. That's a real firehouse. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about what is something you can do internally for yourself that then can roll over and be of value in your relationship with your partner, your spouse, your children, or your friends. And there's an exercise. First thing is if you have a discipline of prayer or meditation or silent walking, something that centers you, if you've already developed a discipline, go for it every day. If you have not yet done that, this is something that can really help to center you. And I tried, and it startled me how effective it was. Set your alarm on your phone or on your watch for every waking hour, that the alarm goes off every hour that you're awake. When the alarm goes off, no matter what you're doing, pause. Whatever it is, just pause. You know, if you're driving, keep driving, but turn off the radio and just take 5 deep breaths. Takes about 20 seconds to take 5 deep breaths. Sounds so silly, but when you do it for 1 day, just 1 day. All right, all day long, tomorrow I'm gonna do this. Dr. Brian talked about, all right, I'm gonna try this all day long for 1 day. And every waking hour, when the alarm goes off, just turn off the alarm and then reset for an hour. And then just, if you're typing, just stop your message, whatever it is. Take 5 deep breaths. I'm going to give you an example. That's 1. And just take 5 deep breaths. It'll take you 15 seconds, 20 seconds. Notice the effect it has on you by the end of the day. Notice that your mind is going, yeah, I'm in the midst. I know I can't do it. And you stop and you just do that. You say, okay, I'm back at it now. And notice how it just tends to calm you down. It was an exercise recommended by my friend Dr. Pedram Shojai in one of his books, and I tried it, and it was great. It was really quite impactful. I was startled of how it just centers you in your world, wherever your world is. And if you notice that you're feeling keyed up in your world, oh, look at that, I'm kind of keyed up. And then I wonder why I'm keyed, and then you might just go off and, that doesn't need to bother me so much. And you can calm down and calm down. Marzi and I have been talking a lot about this time that we're in right now. By the way, feel free to throw questions in if you like. But about this time that we're in.
I'm just sorry. Dr. Lowe says.
Oh, Dr. Lowe. Lauren, hi. Hi. Oh, she's on Instagram. Hi. This is Facebook, that's Instagram. Our friend Dr. Laura Noel, who is an excellent naturopath, she founded Shine Medicine in Solana Beach, California. If you're in Southern California and you want IVs or you want a good doc, she's got 3 or 4 doctors there, and it's a great clinic. There you go, Lauren. So, what was I talking about?
We were talking about the time that it's here now.
Yeah, I forget what I was talking about. It'll come back to me. Oh, breath. I was talking about the breath and that exercise. It's a fabulous exercise to do. Really fabulous. And it just brings a sense of awareness to how you are in the world right now and what's happening for you right now. Not that somebody's telling you and saying you should do this or you should do that, you should. No, you're just noticing for yourself. It's almost like you take a step back and notice the energy in your body right now, and notice what your head's doing, all the yabba, yabba, yabba that's going on in your head. Because for me, I get so caught in all of that I forget to be present in the moment. And when I can see that, then I can take a deep breath and say, okay, I'm back. I go, thank you, right? And then just keep moving forward as best I can. Diana says, hi, Doc. If a 15-year-old teenager inherited a genetic predisposition of cystic acne and is currently suffering with occasional breakout, even with a very clean hygiene and healthy, active lifestyle, what can we look for, or what can be incorporated to control flare-ups when it comes to acne? We want to avoid Accutane. Can we incorporate foods or supplements that have high content of vitamin A? Any advice is appreciated. When we see, and acne is an inflammatory condition, always. So the question is, where is the gasoline coming from on the fire? And it could be emotional, it could be, and the stress hormones that are produced. I mean, if there is a traumatic or an emotional event that occurs and the next day acne's on the scene, that could be it. It could be hormonally related, out of balance. It could be toxic chemicals. It could be food sensitivities. So many people who go gluten-free and their skin conditions clear up all the way to really bad psoriasis. And then, they'll come back in, and many docs like Dr. Noel knows this. It happens all the time. They say, oh, Doc, I had pizza last night and look at my skin. Oh my God, look at my skin. And I say, oh, I'm so glad. Congratulations. Nobody can argue with you. If you do this, that's the result. So for your daughter, the question is, it may not be what she's actively doing, but if she's breathing the air and there's mold in the house and she's spent a day in the basement or more time in the basement where the mold is, that could be the trigger. It could be emotional. It could be food sensitivities. It could be chemical accumulation in the body. So, Diana, the message is to investigate, that you find a healthcare practitioner like Dr. Noel in Solana Beach, or our team at theDr.com. And our director of clinical services, Michelle Ross, was a school teacher for 14 years. So she's really good with kids and good with teenagers, but you find someone that she feels comfortable talking to and begin investigating. Don't know what the problem is, but there's always a trigger. There is always a trigger. Let me say that differently. There is always a trigger. So, if you get that message, Then you want to interview your healthcare practitioner and say, what triggers do you look for with acne? And my daughter inherited a genetic vulnerability, but what trait? See, if you carry a gene, the gene doesn't mean you're going to get the problem. In 70% of the diseases, the gene doesn't mean you're going to get the problem. The gene means if you pull at the chain too hard, that's where the link's going to break. And so pulling on the chain is inflammation. So where is the inflammation coming from that's pulling on the chain? That's the million-dollar question.
There was two interesting questions on Instagram. One was, how many sprays into the nose for seasonal allergies?
How many sprays of biocide?
Yeah, twice a day or 3 days a day, 3 times a day. For seasonal allergies.
If I pour more water into this glass, the level rises, it rises, it rises, it rises. If I keep pouring water, it falls over. It flows out, right? People that have seasonal allergies, their glass is already half full or 3/4 full with something. It's a dairy sensitivity, it's a gluten sensitivity, it's a mold infection, it's a bacterial infection, but their immune system is able to pretty much keep it in check. They may have a little once in a while, you know, but not too bad. But then here comes the seasonal pollen and they flow over. When you lower the glass, the seasonal allergies don't affect you the same way anymore. So the answer is, what's filling up the glass? If you notice that you're blowing your nose every once in a while, year round, or you wake up in the morning, you gotta blow your nose out, that's mucus. Where's the mucus coming from? And people that get recurrent ear infections or sinus infections, they're always full of mucus, always. Well, I'm not full of mucus, doc. Only if I go on an airplane do I get a sinus infection. No, you got lots of mucus, and the airplane, because of the pressure differences, it lowers the amount of open space, and so it gets more aggravated. That mucus, when you have mucus, you're a human petri dish. Your head is a petri dish, and bacteria love mucus because there's no immune system in the mucus. There's no white blood cells to protect you. So the bacteria can grow and colonize in the mucus. And then what happens, there's so much bacteria in the mucus, it touches the sides of your canal. Now the surface of the side of the canal gets inflamed. Now you get ear pain, or now you get sinus pain. But it's been there for a while building up, but there's no white blood cells, there's no nerves in mucus. You can't feel it while it's happening. So the first thing you have to do is get the mucus out. Well, how do I do that? You have to find out where the mucus is coming from. And anytime you've got a cold or a flu, always stop eating mucus-forming foods, even if they're not a problem for you. Well, what are mucus-forming foods? All milk products, anything from the udder of a cow. Butter usually is not a problem, but for some people it is. Bananas, white potatoes, not that they're bad for you, but they tend to cause mucus. And any other foods that you notice, you get a little, after you've eaten something, pasta, well, that's gluten. That's gluten. If it causes mucus, don't eat it when you're trying to fight some kind of bacterial growth or seasonal allergies. That's most important. And there's a great product from Orthomolecular called D-HIST, capital D-HIST, that for people that have seasonal allergies, as long as they're also working on why is the glass so full? If you're working on that, then we give them D-HIST, and it helps quite a bit.
And there was one more question, different category, when we were talking about the breathing or some spiritual practice. Someone asked, how do you get your partner to do it?
You don't. You do it yourself, and you just give an invitation and say, hey, I really, why don't we try this together? But you don't get them to do it. You should do this. Well, how effective is that going to be? I'd like you more if you do this. That ain't going to work. Marzi knows that doesn't work with me, right? But he's an asshole. He should do this. Well, that may be true, but don't tell him that. right?
What works for men,
Yeah.
which is like a magic key word, is it would make me happy. It's genuine. If it's
Yeah.
not a manipulation tool, if you genuinely say it would make me happy, if you usually works.
That gets me every time. Every time. Because when Marzi's happy, I'm happy. Really, she makes my life happy. So as long as I keep her happy, I'm in great shape. I'm grateful. But it took a lot of work to get to this stage for us. Therapy sessions, a few together, most of them apart, but some together. And then just sitting and talking at times and having our timeouts, right? It's hard to have a timeout if you live in a bedroom condo and you're quarantined right now. It's really hard. I get that. I really get that. Lee says, I have psoriatic arthritis and don't want to take Humira, but I'm trying to find a doctor who's interested in finding the cause. What do I do? Go to theDr.com /consultations. My team is so well trained exactly to deal with this. Autoimmune diseases, we're someone who is willing to do the investigative work. Absolutely. Absolutely. theDr.com /consultations. How can we reverse alopecia universalis fully? Google alopecia and Heliobacter. Just Google alopecia and Heliobacter, Heliobacter. Here comes the studies. There's a couple of studies on how if you have a bacterial infection of Heliobacter, it can cause alopecia. You may not have any stomach problems at all. And when you kill the bug, the hair grows back. I use that in some of my presentations. And then Google alopecia and gluten. Here come the studies. In some people, they have a sensitivity to gluten, it manifests as alopecia. And then Google alopecia and dairy. Here come the studies. And so my point is it gasoline or kerosene? There's always fuel on the fire. So you have to, when you have a diagnosed autoimmune disease, the primary goal is to live an anti-inflammatory lifestyle. What does that mean? It means anything that throws gasoline on the fire. Is it gasoline or kerosene? Is it your brain or your skin? Is it your thyroid or your hair follicles? The mechanism is the same. And that's the entire platform of my book, The Autoimmune Fix. And then my next book was You Can Fix Your Brain. So I took that concept of autoimmunity, but people can understand this causes this, causes this, causes this, causes that, and they come in with that. And I took that whole concept from the autoimmune fix and I related to the brain. And it's the same thing. It's the exact same mechanism as for alopecia. Doesn't matter. That you have to look and see, is it phthalates that have accumulated in my body triggering this autoimmune mechanism? Just Google phthalates and alopecia. Is it mercury, heavy metals? Is it gluten? You understand that you have to go, and we have a brain masterclass, the dr.com /brain masterclass. Is that right? I think so. And I did 83 videos to walk people through, if you like video instruction. Some of them are 5 minutes long, some are 12, 15 minutes long. So it's one topic at a time. For example, phthalates, the chemicals used to mold plastic. I show you the studies. They bind onto your thyroid and they bind onto your brain. And if they bind onto your thyroid, you eventually start making thyroid antibodies and you develop an autoimmune disease of the thyroid called Hashimoto's. And then they give you thyroid hormone as if that's going to fix it, right? Or for someone else, the phthalates accumulate in the brain and you get antibodies to phthalates in your brain, killing off your brain cells. And then you come in and you've got brain fog, right? You always have to look, is it gasoline or kerosene? Is it my hair follicles, my skin? Is it alopecia? Is it psoriasis? Is it MS? Is it rheumatoid? But that is the platform, and everybody's been trained to look for what pill do I take to get better. I want to live my lifestyle the way I'm living life, and what pill do I get better. That ain't going to cut it. The way you've lived your life has created what you've got. It's the most powerful takeaway message with COVID right now. It's the most powerful takeaway message for all of us. What is it? Somewhere we think between 40 to 70% of the population will be exposed to COVID. Somewhere around those numbers. We don't know yet. We'll find out when we do more antibody testing. Papers came out yesterday from Stanford saying, this estimated mortality rate of 2%, likely it's really wrong, that it's about 0.1% or 0.2%, because they're doing the test now and finding many, many people have immunity. They've made antibodies, meaning they were exposed. So that the percentage of people that are getting really sick and dying, that percentage is much smaller. There's still people getting really sick and dying, but that percentage is much smaller than 2%, which is a horrific number, because they're finding so many more people have antibodies, right? So I lost my train of thought. I got so into that.
Keep it for Thursday.
I'll keep it for Thursday. I'm sorry, I'll keep it for Thursday. Thoughts. I'll keep the rest of it for Thursday and the coffee with the doctor. That's why I love her, so she gets me back on track to some degree. But the point is it gasoline or kerosene? The Brain Master class. So if you like videos, I do the videos on phthalates. And where do you find phthalates? Tupperware containers are loaded with phthalates. You put your leftover food in a Tupperware container, the next day the chicken's got phthalates in it when you're eating it. Fingernail polish has phthalates. You put fingernail polish on in 3 to 5 minutes, the phthalates are in your bloodstream. Now, there's no evidence that the amount of phthalates that leach in your bloodstream are toxic to humans. There's no evidence of this anywhere in the world. But this stuff is accumulative in your body. And that's what you have to learn. It may be that you've accumulated phthalates over the last 15, 20 years, and it's triggered the immune disease alopecia. It may be. You just have to check. So you need someone to walk that walk with you, a functional medicine approach, to figure out what is it that's triggering my immune system to respond like that.
There was a question from Instagram about, not phthalates exactly, if you only have access to plastic bottles of water, would you avoid drinking the water and wait for a better source?
No. It's the pros and cons. It's a really good question. It's the pros and cons both ways. Water is critical. You have to be hydrated. If the only water you have comes in plastic bottles, you drink the water. Now, the way that you help to reduce the effect of phthalates is by having a healthy microbiome. And the bacterial microbiome will methylate the phthalates, grab them, and get them out of your system. But you have to have a healthy microbiome to do that. How do you do that? Well, we've got a whole protocol on that. That's not a 30-second answer. But no, it's more important to drink water. 1/2 ounce per pound body weight is crucial. Cindy says, I love both books. I've learned answers and solutions to many of my health issues. You showed me where to begin my search. Way to go, Cindy. Thank you so much. Makes my day when I hear things like that. Thank you. Susan said, I think I had COVID end of February, beginning of March, extreme fatigue and cough. Well, it sounds like you might have, and sounds like you're better now. Way to go. If you do a blood test looking for antibodies, you'll probably confirm that you've got immunity now. That may be the case. Laura says, I don't want pills. I try to do natural stuff. Great. Way to go. And sometimes you need extra help. Natural stuff is good, but sometimes you need extra help. Christine says, this might be a dumb question. No, it's not. Whatever it is. Would there be a woman's hormone that is off that would cause extreme wrinkles on the face? I'm on Synthroid for underactive thyroid, but it seems since I went through menopause, wrinkles and cracks have really appeared fast. I'm only in my early mid-50s. That's not a silly question at all. Yeah, Christine. If you have hormone imbalances, when a woman goes through a change of life, the ovaries stop making estrogen. And they shut down, and other hormones, they just shut down. But your adrenal glands are supposed to kick in and make about 1/10 the estrogen that your ovaries were making. for the rest of your life. It's the backup system that's supposed to be activated. But for most of us, we have lived such stressful lives. If you do the Brain Masterclass, you understand all this stuff because I talk about it in detail in the work of Hans Selye, the guy that coined the word stress, and how it affects all of us. We've lived such stressful lives that we have burnt out our stress response organ, which is the adrenal glands. When they did autopsies on young men who died by trauma, young healthy men who died in a car accident or something like that, their adrenal glands were the size of a walnut. They sit on top of the kidneys on both sides. When they did autopsies on young men of the same age who died of degenerative diseases, their adrenal glands are the size of a peanut. They've withered up. They were worn out by the stress of that person's life. And then they got a disease, whatever it is. So we have to be considering rebuilding our adrenal glands. It's part of a regenerative process. Thinking about my next book may be on this whole topic of regeneration and resilience. But you have to rebuild the glands. And how do you rebuild an adrenal gland from the size of a peanut? And I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of the woman that asked that question. Your adrenal glands are probably the size of a peanut. If you jump up too quickly off a sofa or bed, you get lightheaded for a second or two. Do you have to wear sunglasses outside even when it's a cloudy day, or do you squint if the lights are too bright? Those are signs of adrenal dysfunction. And there's a real simple test. Go into a bathroom that doesn't have a window with a flashlight. Turn the flashlight on, hold it down by your legs so it's not shining in the room. Turn the light off in the bathroom. Walk up to the mirror. There's a little bit of light from the flashlight that's shining down towards the floor. Walk up to the mirror. Look straight into the mirror. So I'm going to look into the camera for Facebook. Look straight into the mirror, and then bring the camera or the flashlight up to the side here of your eye, like this. Not in the front, but to the side. You should see the pupil, the black part of the eye, get small really fast. Quick reaction. That's what's supposed to happen. Now keep the light there for 30 seconds and notice if the pupil starts pulsating and getting bigger. It shouldn't get bigger. The pupil is like the aperture of a camera. If there's a lot of light in the room, the pupil should be really small so that you don't blind the eye with so much light. But if there's not much light in the room, the aperture of the camera, the pupil should be really wide to take in as much light as possible to differentiate what's out there in the world, right? Your adrenals produce the hormone that's responsible for that response. So if you are in a state of adrenal fatigue, you shine a light in the side of the eye, it gets small, and then and we see so many people, it goes, and it just pops right back open. Or in 10 seconds, it goes small, and then boom, 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 boom. And your eye's getting, the light's on the side, but it's like starting to blind you almost. That's adrenal depletion. You have to rebuild your adrenal glands. Well, how do you rebuild adrenal glands? One cell at a time. Well, what does that mean? One cell at a time, and then you have to learn about an anaerobic state, an anabolic state versus a catabolic state. Is your body getting older or is your body getting younger? Are you regenerating cells that are weaker or are you regenerating cells that are stronger? You guys see, this is pretty complicated stuff, but you can regenerate a healthier, stronger you. But it takes 2 to 3 years of focused work to build adrenal glands that are stronger and younger. You have an entire new body every 7 years. Every cell in your body regenerates, every cell, except teeth. So what kind of cells are you regenerating? Stronger cells or weaker cells? Well, how's that determined? It's called epigenetics, what's happening around your genes. The genes don't determine whether you're going to get Alzheimer's or not. The gene determines If you turn the gene on, then you're likely to get Alzheimer's. But you have to, what turns the gene on? Inflammation. Or your daughter with acne, what turns the genes on? Inflammation. Or the one with alopecia, what turns the genes on for autoimmune diseases? Inflammation. It's again and again and again. It's the same answer. I'm like boring to listen to because it's the same answer, but we always want to know, well, doc, I've got this. What can I take? The question you have to ask is, doc, I've got this. How is my lifestyle contributing to it? That's the $1 million question. And when you get smart enough to ask that question and not look for the cheap answer of what pill can I take and will insurance pay for it, you know, because you've been brainwashed to think that way. And the more you think that way, the more disease we get. You want to live a young, vital, functionally active life in your 70s and 80s and 90s? You want to live in a blue zone? You know, you want to have a blue zone life? Those who don't know, get the book, The Blue Zone. That's where the pedal hits the metal. That's where people are living in their 80s, 90s, over 100, fully functional in society. That's the book. That's where the pedal hits the metal. But you have to change the way you think. So let's get back to couples here.
Okay, let's get back here because we only have 20 minutes left.
Oh my goodness.
And this was supposed to be, and it is, a special Facebook Live.
Yep.
What I would like to invite you to in this difficult for some time, we are one of the fortunates. We are both in Costa Rica. We got here totally last minute. We live in Italy, but Italy wasn't a safe place to come back to. I can't go to US because I don't have a green card. So we were like, where are we going? So we are so blessed and grateful that we could just fly to Costa Rica and we can just live here. And my initial stress was where I'm gonna get my organic coffee, where I'm gonna get my organic peanut butter, where I'm gonna get my organic vegetables.
We actually bought Jiffy yesterday.
So,
because I want peanut butter.
So this is where I'm going to. It's not important what you don't have, but it's important what you do have.
Yeah.
And when we look around, we have a tiny local shop which is nicely equipped. There is pretty much everything that we need. There is coconut milk. There is almond milk.
Fresh vegetables.
Fresh vegetables twice a week. I can make my order and I will get them boxed for me, waiting for me. Look around you in your local suppliers or farmers.
Yep.
I'm sure they provide services like this. It was one of the studies that Dr. Sam was really
upset about
was that the farmers,
Farmers are plowing their crops under. They can't sell their crops. Why can't they sell their crops? Because the restaurants are all closed. Who are they going to sell them to? And farmers don't have insurance. So in your community, wherever you are, see if there's a farmers cooperative. In many cities, you know, they'll deliver a box of produce to you, whatever they're harvesting that week. So wherever you are, just check and see if there's a farmers cooperative, and then call them and see, hey, can I order some vegetables? And it's fun actually. When they deliver and you say, what's this? Well, and you look at the list, well, they say there's a rutabaga. And you know, this must be a rutabaga. Well, what do I do with a rutabaga? Well, I don't know. You know, so you Google rutabaga and you experiment, you know, and you try things.
That's a great time to try new recipes, to maybe try a new recipe once a week or add more vegetables to your diet. We do smoothies twice a day. We eat less, really. We just have 2 meals and we have 2 smoothies in between. And that's plenty because it's hot here. We're not really so active.
Yeah, but we're not as active.
But we really try to focus on a lot of vegetables in our diet. And we don't have access to organic, but it's not so important at the moment. Important is to basically appreciate what you have around you.
That's a really good point. You know, ideally, we'd love to have organic right now. We usually live an organic life as much as possible, but right now it's just not possible. And so you do the best you can and bless the food and just say thank you so much that we have this great food. I've got to go back to this question from Judy. I'm 64 with Hashimoto's, Cytomel, and Synthroid. Do I need collagen supplement? After everything I just said, right? Thank you. You're a classic example of how people think. I need to supplement. No. The question to ask is, how has my lifestyle suppressed my thyroid function so that I currently require medications? That's the question to ask. Not, do I need a collagen supplement? And yeah, collagen supplements are helpful, but where's the inflammation coming from that's triggering the autoimmune disease? Judy, you need us really bad. So excuse me, but that was just too classic a question after everything I just talked about.
We also focus on detox. Vegetables will be number one. Then we say water, fruit. We use some supplements, but it's not important because we really couldn't bring much because we didn't know we were gonna be outcasted from where we live. So I really want to invite you to cook more and to cook vegetables, right? This is the best way of boosting or balancing your immune system. I don't like the word boosting because it doesn't mean that your immune system has to be stronger. It needs to know what to react to.
The more vegetables, the better. And our friend Dr. Deanna Minnick, I think she coined the term rainbow diet. So colors of the rainbow. The richer the color, the more polyphenols in that fruit or vegetable. So sweet potatoes are so much more beneficial for you than white potatoes. The richer the color, the more beneficial. Red beets, it goes on and on. So I see RX Butterfly is just giving me like these and hearts and saying, you go, doc, you go, you go. Thank you so much. It's fun to do this, but I'm hoping, all joking aside, that the message is clear, that it's how we live our lives that make us vulnerable. I know what I forgot to earlier. Oh yes, it was about COVID. And most people don't ever know that they were exposed to COVID. That's what the studies are coming out to say now. Some people get a little bit sick, a sore throat, a little bit of cough, a little bit of fever, and then they're fine. And some people get real sick, they have to go to the hospital. Those that get a little bit sick and then they're fine, their immune system is not up to par. It couldn't handle the job. It had to rally the troops after you got sick. It had to trigger a fever to kill bacteria, to kill virus. That it didn't handle it asymptomatic for you, meaning no symptoms. So that's the first thing you have to think about. Yeah, I had that sore throat, or yeah, I had a little bit of fever, but it was gone. Thank God I'm okay. Well, you're okay, but what about next time? There's a warning message to you. You need to strengthen your immune system. You need to find out what is suppressing your immune system function. And for those that have to go to the hospital, they clearly need a rebuilding program to look at where's the inflammation that's suppressing my immune system. That's what I wanted to say, is that those that got a little bit sick and then they're fine, it's not okay. It's not acceptable in my book. That's why our new patient questionnaire, how often do you get a flu? Oh, just once a year, doc. Lasts about a week, the normal. That's not normal. It's common, but it's not normal. You're not supposed to get sick, period. Period. Okay.
Now I lost my track of thoughts. I have just a little note. Fiona, who's our Instagram guru, she's in charge of Instagram. She sent me a nice article today, and it was really nice. Like, I'm all about self-love in this particular time, because either you have the time or not, but the whole earth is on pause. We watch nature here. We can see how many more butterflies are flying around, how many more birds. We love the wildlife here, but we could see the movement from when we got here first to today.
And what have we heard in Venice? In Venice, Italy, they're seeing dolphins for the first time in 20 years. In Venice, Italy. Because the waters are cleaner, because there's not all the traffic, and the world is changing.
We've got no planes flying. We have no chemtrails, we have no pollution, the company's fabrics are closed, so that's awesome.
In answer to Jacqueline, yes, dementia is from inflammation, killing off brain cells, killing off brain cells, killing off brain cells. That's my book, You Can Fix Your Brain. It explains all of it, and that's what our Brain Masterclass is all about. Sorry.
It's his show. It's
No,
his
no,
show.
no,
It's
no,
okay.
no, no, no.
Gonna send me this article, and basically the message from the article is, if you feel pressure that you have to accomplish something, or you have to do this, or you have to exercise, you don't have to do anything. If you need to rest at this time, you rest. And the message is your only goal is to arrive. So every day, take it day by day. Appreciate what you have, not what you don't have. And I'm really sorry if you lost someone.
Yeah.
From your family or close friends. This is heartbreaking, right? What else you can say about it?
Terry Boyle says, maybe in the next coffee I can address the notion those who get really sick may have a stronger immune system and they're so sick. Thanks, Terry. Yeah, I am going to address that. That's called a cytokine storm, and that was what happened in the 1918 flu. And some people are having that response, but it's a last-ditch effort where the virus was able to hide out, and the early response component of the immune system couldn't handle it. And then it gets to a point where there's so much assault from the virus that there's a switch that gets turned, and the cytokine storm turns on. And I will talk about that in the upcoming coffees.
That's awesome. And we've got some requests, and you guys tell us if that's a good idea to do some cooking show, or like at least once a week for me and Dr. Tom, because now we get the stand. So if you're interested,
Yeah, we have a stand.
let us know. Just comment, let us know if there'll be something of interest to you. We'd love to do that.
Yes, yes, yes.
Me more than Dr. Tom, but
Yeah.
but it's his show. Talk about the nutritional body.
Okay.
Oh, we got plenty of hearts on Instagram.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, Marzi, we can take time each day to stop and enjoy the sunsets. I've been doing it for years and end the day writing in a gratitude journal. You know, that one exercise changes a person's personality over time.
Right.
Just one exercise, like, you know, think about every hour, take 5 deep breaths.
Right.
It really changes personality if it resonates for you to do that.
And also, I'm thinking about how the earth is really healing at the moment, but how the situation of the virus has been put upon us, and either we want it or not, there is some fear going on, and there is a lot of negative emotions also being closed up in a house. So our own vibrations are going really low. So the best of raising up the vibrations is to feel love and gratitude.
Yeah, and play the Beach Boys song, Good Vibrations.
That helps. Music also.
I wake up every morning in bed, and before I open my eyes, most of the time, when I'm coming to consciousness, I've trained myself now. I ask the question, what are 3 things I'm grateful for? You know, to start my morning with gratitude, and I like that I do that now. Many times I'd forget. You know, and I get out of bed and I'm walking to the bathroom or something. Oh, God, I forgot. All right, what are 3 things? And then I do it, you know, as I'm walking into the bath, whatever. But now it's happening more often before I open my eyes. So what you focus on is what you create, yes? And if you focus on love and gratitude, you start creating more love and gratitude around you.
And they say that if you reach the vibration of gratitude, which is one of the highest, you have energetical effect for 3,000 people around you.
Wow.
This is how powerful this is. So
Nice.
you don't only do it for yourself, but you basically do it for the humanity, for the planet. So that's amazing.
Elizabeth says, so if my organic milk's out, for inflammation that means, I cannot have my good yogurt. That's right. That's right. You can't. If you have a sensitivity to dairy, and most people do, but Dr. Susan
Drop.
Huh?
Drop.
No, not Brett. No.
Oh,
Susie,
Suzanne.
Suzanne Bennett. Suzanne Bennett. Her book last year, The Kimchi Diet, Kimchi, The Kimchi Diet, is a marvelous book. Marvelous. And the foreword is a really good foreword. I wrote the foreword to the book. But it's a great book. She shows you how simple it is to make fermented vegetables, to make kimchi. I mean, it's a no-brainer. It really is simple. In 4 days, you've got kimchi. 3 days, 5 days, something like that. It's really simple. It's easy, and there's lots of variation. How many overweight or obese South Koreans do you see? You don't see them. Why? Because they're born and raised eating fermented vegetables most every day, a little bit most every day. And so one of the things we recommend in changing your dietary habits is get in the habit of fermented vegetables. Why does it say?
Oh, because Instagram has 1 hour limit.
Okay,
So we can-
Instagram, it says there's 1 minute and 45 seconds remaining. It limits us to an hour, and we started
We
you
are
2 minutes
1
early, and
hour.
our time's up anyway.
Right.
Yeah, the Kimchi Diet, that's the name of the book, RX Butterfly. That's the name of the book. It's a great book. Everyone, I'd suggest you order it and just experiment with it and say, oh, that's not too bad. And then all of a sudden, in a couple of months, you're eating these more often. You're eating fermented vegetables. So the yogurt, it's best to make your own yogurt if you're going to do yogurt. But because of the mucus that most people have with cow's milk, you can make coconut milk yogurt. You can try camel milk yogurt. Camel milk is less abrasive to the body, creates less of a problem than cow's milk does. And there's a camel milk information on our website. There's organic camel milk out in Arkansas somewhere. Amish people have a farm for that, and it's really tasty. So with that, we have 42 seconds left for Instagram, and so Facebook, same thing. We're going to say thank you all so very much for being with us here today. It's really been
We hope you could get to know us a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
Thank you all so much. We'll see you next week, and we will have our Coffee with Dr. Tom this Thursday morning. You can email to theDr.com to find out more information on that. Thanks so much, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Oh, 246.
Wow.
If you end this video now.
If you end this video.